Sometimes be careful of the teachers that teach you. They do not know your experience. Sometimes you are stronger than the man teaching you. Because he has money doesn't mean he has strength. Making your labors in God to feel as though there's something you are missing that they need to teach you. Sir, we acknowledge that God showed you favor. But don't use that as a yardstick to make a brother who is struggling feel bad as though there's something he's not doing. We all have different seasons. And everyone is going through his season as he walks his walk of faith. And if we are not mature to know that in a man's season of trial, we are supposed to be there to strengthen his hand, to make his burden easier. We would hold conferences and begin to talk down on people and make them feel they are not praying enough. Do you pray? Do you pray as much as most people who gather to listen to you? If you hear people's story and you hear their walk of faith, you will come down from that your car and begin to weep. Respect people's journey of faith and try your best to strengthen a man who is following God in his journey of faith. When you find him on that way, on the way of his journey, give him wine and bread, because the journey is indeed far. Give him wine and bread. Strengthen him. When thou art restored, do what? Strengthen your brethren. Strengthen. If someone falls, you restore them in love. It's strength. You give them strength to continue. Not sit down your horses and say, hey, look at this one who started. Whenever you hear, in those days we used to think it's accuracy. It's actually something that is pitiable to say. Do you know what he passed through that he fell? Can you survive it? Grace should not make us foolish. Grace should not what? Make us foolish. The fact that God allowed for you in your Christian experience to be wealthy doesn't mean the one who is poor is doing something wrong. Our faith experience is according to the promise that God has crystallized in us by the Holy Ghost. So you cannot judge me by your experience. What am I saying? You cannot what? Judge me by your experience. And this is why when people turn their back on you and it seems as though others are overtaking you in your faith journey and all these things are happening around you, make sure you remember to trust in the one who has promised you. Most of the spiritual knowledge God imparted on me was imparted on me as I journeyed with God. Yes. You know God through the fire. You know God in the water. He will not stop your journey, but he will make himself known in the journey. So when you get to the promised land, you must have known his law, known his ways, known his deliverance, known his ability. That will become the faith by which you worship him. And no matter what you face in the present, you remember that the God who delivered you from what? The lion, Kaya, and the bear. To conquer new enemies, invoke the knowledge of past victories. That's why whenever I sit down with my brethren and I have the opportunity to speak with them, I always recount where God brings me from. It's not for them, it's for me to help my faith. I recount where God brought me from. How there was no way for someone like me to even have the kind of platform I have today. No help anywhere. No one can come and say, no, I believed in this guy, so I was giving platform. Because nobody anywhere, sir. Not one person. It was me and vain men that God started making mighty. Me and fellow black sheep that God started saying, I will do something with this band. So nobody has the right to judge your journey with his own experience. Because if he encounters what you encounter and you survived it, there's no guarantee that he would have survived. Come together.